So, tinhlanganise ke come late. I'm straight, fede fekon, trying to jump late. I'm ready now. So, tinhlanganise amasente days. Njengoba ye-chat, ball pen pairs go pay again.
Go live. There we go.
I'm sick of paying things. Don't pay me, I lose. Just getting confused. I choose to go with this cruise. I believe that's something that I dreamt about. Anyway,
there we go. I'm good. Hey.
Okay, so okay, I don't know if it's a coincidence.
Then so what is this thing? Yo.
Aski. So yeah, of course I hop on and you're listening to Linda Notende and I'm like, oh.
Askisa, I had to.
I had a feeling it was not a coincidence. I'm like, did he set me up?
Coincidence.
Set up. I feel set up. Okay, like now I'm literally about to cry. This is kind of weird.
Aski, sorry to put you, eh?
This is why you don't set people up. So I'll tell you a funny, crazy story about Pro right now.
Please, yes.
So after his passing, and this happens every now and then, literally I'll jump in my car.
Yeah.
Apple Play will just somehow land on his music, and I'm like, "What's up, Ntanga?"
Okay. Okay.
Like, it's just one of those things that I do now, but it's just, and of course, like, yeah, like I will play their music wherever I am at ignorant levels at time. I've been known to do that. So yeah, those are the homies. Oh, now I'm gonna call tens when I get done talking to you.
You should.
I'm like, ciao, Risto. Hi.
I'm good, man. I'm alright. Thanks for making the time, man. So I actually have to say this before we get all started with introductions and all these kind of things. But not so much to you, but about you, you know. So Dee is the type of person where I think even before you left, right? You migrated. It was always whatever you do, whatever you say, I can relate to and connect to, you know. And it's so uncanny that, you know, when I was preparing for this conversation, I was checking out, of course, reviewing some of the stuff, HBT Collective, etc., etc. And I'm like nodding frantically, you know, I'm such a fan, dude. You don't understand.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Now I'm blushing because this is kind of awkward.
No, don't blush. It had to be recorded. I had to stay and actually, you know, start the conversation on that note, because really, I'm sure you can think of scenarios as well where, you know, we connected like that. But man, I'm so blessed that we can actually sit down and finally get to, you know, connect over a meaningful conversation like this one. So yeah.
No, Linda, I am so grateful you agreed, one, to doing this, and that you have this platform and we can have this conversation. Yeah. You and I have known each other since we were in diapers. I don't think people know that. So I think one of my favorite things about you is just watching your evolution as Untantla, you know, like, you know, from that kid we used to run around, that interpretation is long gone, so we can't go to jail for that. Just saying. So you know, like growing from that to just being the amazing adult that you've become, this father, this constant, like you ooze solidness, and I want you to know that you ooze solid. You ooze integrity, and that is something that I am so proud of in you as a person, as a friend, as a man. So yeah, man, it's absolutely.
That means a lot coming from you. That really means a lot coming from you, Muhammad. Thanks a lot.
No.
Okay. So I'm not gonna introduce you. I'm gonna actually allow you to do that yourself. Just 1, 2. Whatever you want to touch on, really, in terms of your background. And maybe let me kick off with introducing myself, because, you know, we're going to record this session, and you never know where it's going to actually end up. So it's good that we start with the basics and, you know, sort of start getting to fame and people may understand exactly why this conversation is close to both our hearts, right?
Absolutely.
So let me kick it off. So the conversation, by the way, it's intuitive leadership. That's what we're going to be talking about. So there's 4 aspects that we want to touch on because we want to make it as practical as possible.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Number 1, I think we want to also talk about who can be, lead with intuitiveness or intuitive intelligence or whatever you want to call it, because there's a whole lot of content around this. And how can we actually do it? The how is very important to me because that's the practical bit. And you also suggested the last part, which is where do we start? What do you do next, right? To actually play this out. So those are the 4 aspects really we're going to try and touch on. So if there's questions, concerns, guys, please, by all means, do drop them on the chats and we'll try and actually engage on that point. All right, cool. Yeah. So who is me? Nhlanhla Mokare is my name. I am academically trained in communications and marketing. So lots of leadership lessons there. And I have worked in financial services, had leadership positions, looked after teams, built teams, again, leadership practice there. And then, of course, in financial services, there's a risk component that is huge. So I then, of course, worked in the risk and governance space. In a nutshell, that's really me professionally speaking. I grew up in the church. I think I always say this in every platform that I actually talk in. And I have served in many committees in leadership structures. So that's really my claim to fame, so to speak, my license to speak, I like to call it. And really not speak in terms of being an expert, but really contribute to the conversation. And I love that, by the way, about my guest, which is Mamohad Dodiagat Singh. So please intro yourself, man.
Why are you gonna say Mamohad?
By the way, I call it boy. That's because we grew up together. But
I know.
Yeah, as you can tell, she's amazing. She's an amazing woman, and she looks like one too. So yeah.
Thank you. The world outside of my intimate circle knows me as Dee Nova. Hello.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Weird in Tlantla because when I always tell people, like, I can tell how long you've known me by what you call me. So whether because you're damn near family, and that's fine. I don't even flinch, right? But like if somebody else calls me that, I'm like, whoa, hold on now.
Yeah.
You're too familiar. Where did you find this information? Like, who told you this? But yeah, anyway, hi guys. My name is Dee Nova. Mom doesn't calls me. And let's see. I shy away from this question about what do you do. I'll tell you who I am. I am literally a spiritual being having a human experience. That's how I take on life. But
See?
Veranda. Technical difficulties, Raleigh.
Yeah, check your connection there a bit. I'm here.
My Wi-Fi is on, but you were spinning there for a second. Did you lose me?
You're breaking up a bit, but I got you back now, so.
Okay, hold on. Let me double check the Wi-Fi because we should be good. Yeah, it's like on all bars. Okay.
Awesome. Cool.
All right, cool. Anyway, we're back. Hi. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, Dee Nova. Educationally, I have an MBA, majored in oak behavior, and then work-wise, I have over 10 years of customer-facing roles, whether it was me being an entrepreneur or working in customer services, in PR. And right now, in today's world, I am a corporate coach. I've been in the coaching and development space for at least 7 years now. I support leaders across various organizations. And that's pretty much what I do. I am ecstatic about helping people.
Yeah.
That's why I do what I do. And we're spinning again. Okay, I'm back. Did you lose any of that? Did you get all of it?
Just you were saying you're passionate, and then I lost you. What are you passionate about? Tell me again. Oh, tell us again.
I was like, oh my God, why is it spinning? I was saying I am really passionate about helping people just, you know, get better in their professional and personal development spaces. And that's why I do what I do. The best thing about my career and my job is seeing that light bulb go off in people's minds when we're talking about something, or finally help them connect dots, right? That is what makes me tick, and that's literally what drives me and makes me get up every day and do what I do. I am so fortunate and blessed that I actually get to do what I love for a living. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. I don't know, you noticed me. I was like nodding frantically. So, you know, remember what I said earlier on? Everything you say, I'm like, yes. I'm such a fan. It's ridiculous.
Nah, man, it's all good. It's all good.
All right, cool. Let's go.
Oh no, Tante, this is so weird.
Oh no, you're back. Okay, cool.
You're back. Yeah. Okay, cool. Go ahead. This is gonna be fun, guys. Let's just.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting. That's what happens with live conversations, right? So hey, it's okay. It happens.
All right.
All right. Cool. So let's get then to the nuts and bolts of it, right? So again, I think I mentioned that we're talking intuitive leadership, and those two words there, you know, maybe we should break them apart as an attempt to try and simplify it and define it as much as possible, and then we can get, of course, to what that means to each of us. And I know this is something definitely that is close to your heart. By the way, guys, I must say that this topic is actually chosen by Dee. Me, I want to talk anything leadership, and Dee was saying, well, intuitive leaving, and I said, why not intuitive leadership? So that's how we landed where we are, and it's I've come to realize that it's in the discourse, you know, public discourse, in terms of people wanting to actually get more detail around this. So why not touch on it?
Okay,
you've got what?
You're back. It was spinning. Oh,
okay.
I can't hear you.
So, what does it mean to you, Dee? Intuition, and then of course leadership.
So, your intuition, how I would describe your intuition is an inner knowing that is not necessarily explainable by anything that you know up here, right? It's this inner gut heart thing where you kind of know things, but you're not too sure why you know this, or you feel something and it either moves you in a certain direction, or it pops a question in your head. So the way I define it is our intuition is literally our GPS to navigate life. And yeah,
I like that.
Your intuition is literally your GPS to navigate life.
Yeah.
So tune into it often, practice, flex that muscle until it becomes second nature to kind of listen and follow. And then with leadership, I think the description, the definition of leadership really depends on who you're talking to. Let me see. For me personally, leadership is really about connecting with people, connecting to a purpose, whether it's for yourself, for the people in your immediate circle, for the people outside of that immediate circle, but connecting to self, connecting to purpose, and connecting to self, to connecting to purpose, and then moving in that direction. And then of course there's the influence piece of it, right? So because for there to be a leader, there has to be a follower. So are you that passionate? Are you that intriguing in what you're presenting? And are you that committed that you are able to actually have people fall in line with your vision and then help them, not just show them, but rather do it with them to kind of realize what their vision is? For me, that's what leadership is.
Okay, awesome. So, so 100% I agree, you know. So immediately, when I think, when I hear intuition, I think gut feel, you know, I think heart, you know, so that's me. And by the way, that's part of my strength or my personality profile. I'm in the emotional side of things. So intuition is really just my playground to lead from the heart. I guess I'm now stepping into intuitive leadership as well, because that's what it is for me. It's gut feel. It's heart. It's really, what does your heart say about certain things and decisions that you actually need to make. As a leader, if you think about it, because if you are a leader, whether you're leading self, by the way, because that's a form of leadership, or you're leading others, which is something we all do in different spaces as well. As parents, as an example, I always love making that example of parents and them being as leaders. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Letting your heart lead you, being the center of your decisions, which then talks to a whole lot of things, like, for instance, the input, because of course, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And that's what the word says. And I believe that wholeheartedly, because it's about really what you put in that you can then reflect back to the world and to the people around you. I hope that makes sense.
Hold on. Wait. A second. I lost you at out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth.
So out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks or speaketh. Yes. So, and what I was saying about that is that I believe that, and I lead with that as my principle in life generally. And that's really how I show up then, to say the input is important. So you need to invest time then in input. And I guess that's why this conversation was important for me, because it's really about that input to get us thinking, and see where we land, two different views from two different perspectives, because your perspective is quite unique in that. Oh, by the way, for those who don't know, Dee is in the US, guys, and I'm sitting in South Africa. So technology, hello. So those different those different viewpoints and worldviews, I think they're important to contribute to that conversation. Yeah, man, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and also from a more obvious standpoint, I think a lot of times people think that men and women view leadership very differently, and I tend to argue that we don't. We are socialized to view it differently, but instinctively we don't.
Interesting.
But yes, that's why these conversations are important, and I'm sure we'll tap into this assumed difference at some point in this conversation. But yeah,
it will come up, I'm sure. All right, cool. So I guess now that we have the definitions out of the way, and you're more than welcome to expand on it in your response to the second bit, Dee. How do we flex that muscle? You spoke about it already, or you touched on it earlier on, but practically, how do you flex the intuitive leadership type muscle?
It takes awareness, right? It takes you being aware that, hey, I'm functioning from my head space versus my heart space more often than I should. And then taking the steps then to start getting in tune with moving from your heart. And I'm saying this like I'm talking to people that know what I'm talking about. So let me break it down a little bit. Okay. I think as people, we go to school, we learn things, we observe, we learn things. We are constantly learning. The human brain is a huge synthesizer of information, right? So because we are taking in all this data, right? We're constantly accumulating data from our surroundings, our upbringing, our work environments, and we start to develop this idea of what we think we should show up as based on what we have observed, right? It has nothing to do with how you feel. It might feel off, but because you think this is what's expected, you step into this role and you play this role for some people for a very long time, right? It's one of those things where, like, think about it, right? So we are raised to conform. Let's just be honest. You are raised to be normal.
I agree. Yeah.
And sometimes being normal will strip you of the core of who you are. So you step into these roles that are determined by factors outside of yourself. That's part one. Being aware of the fact that you may or may not This is between you and your therapist or your coach or whoever you want to talk to, or yourself, right? You may be in a role where you feel like I have to present as X when really you want to do B at your core. So it's that disconnect. And some people never become aware of the disconnect. Some of us do become aware of the disconnect, and we start doing the work to then realign, right? So I knew something was off when I was showing up, I was getting things done, but I was still not happy. You know, I'm like, I'm showing up, I'm doing the things. Why am I not happy? Why doesn't
getting
this
done, but
you know, it's that gap that just sits there, and it's like, okay, fine. Let me step back for a little bit and reassess. And what showed up for me was I literally am playing a role. Right? I'm showing up as the daughter. I'm showing up as when I was married as the wife. I'm showing up as, you know, the person at work. But all these three people, even though they're me, they look very different. So as the daughter, I'm very different compared to the wife. As the wife, I was different compared to the person at work. And I was like, I am not in alignment. Something is off. So it took me realizing that for me to step back and say, okay, fine. God, how do we fix this? You know, and once you get into that, God, how do you fix this space? That's when you learn how to be quiet. Guys, there is strength in stillness. Let me tell you, there is so much strength in stillness, because once I got quiet, that inner knowing, because now I get it, I'm quiet now. Now I'm not talking. I have quieted my environment. I'm not taking in data of people telling me what they expect.
The influence.
To be right. So now I've cocooned myself, and I'm like, I need quiet. In that quiet is where you'll find that inner voice. In that quiet is where that intuition starts to kind of, it goes from a whisper, and it gets like the more comfortable you are in that quiet space, the louder that voice becomes. And it's like, then that voice is the homie. It's like, whoa, what did you say? Bitch. Let's do it, you know? So now I even forgot what your question was. What's a matter with hulu? Hey.
But you're answering it so well, man. So we at the point where we're talking about flexing the muscle for intuitive leadership.
Yes. Okay.
So you're
cool. All right. Just making sure I'm on track. I'm on track. I love
you are.
I can get lost talking about this all day. So and that's really what kicks it off, right? Stillness is what kicks it off. I'm not gonna front. You will not find your inner voice until you learn how to be still. Ask anyone that functions from an intuitive space. They will tell you exactly what, right? You will find that intuitive voice the moment you learn how to be still, because I'm not particularly religious, but I grew up in the church right along with you, although sometimes I would skip out on it.
Amen.
But I will talk about God. I'll talk about the universe.
Of course.
And I'm sure you've heard this saying before, like God speaks in whispers. You know what I mean? Like when God speaks to us, it always starts as a very soft voice, but you have to learn how to tune into it, right? Because it's very easy to let the outside chatter and everything that's happening around you distract you from what you are really called to doing. So step one is finding that stillness. Once you find that stillness, guys, only because someone once said this to me, and I thought it was the most hilarious thing ever.
Okay.
The voice is gonna sound like your voice, okay? Yeah, okay. It's gonna sound like your voice, because it's not gonna be like a big booming noise like Mudimu. It's gonna be like, hey, I'm hot. That's not God's not gonna do that to you. No. It's literally gonna sound like your thinking voice, but you will know it's not your thinking voice because it doesn't come from your head. It's just this knowing. So it takes you connecting with it to realize the difference between your head thinking and your inner knowing communicating with you. But the first time you do it, it might creep you out, it might not. But as time goes on, like I said, you develop this relationship with your inner self where you know, okay, fine. When I feel like I'm overwhelmed, when I feel like things aren't straight, I just need to get to stillness. It always starts that way. It's like, okay, now that you know there's an alternative, it's like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. Let me get to stillness. I'm overwhelmed. Let me get to stillness. And eventually you do it long enough where stillness is where you kind of function. And the overwhelming only happens like it's a small moment compared to your moment of stillness, right? It takes practice though. It takes practice. It takes being intentional about it. And it really just takes you prioritizing your moments of stillness because like I said, you won't hear it when you're surrounded with chatter. You really won't. There's a reason why when spiritual people have their awakening, they take a sabbatical or they take time away from everybody to just be with self. And that's the reason why, because it's until you can go inward and outside of everything else, you won't be able to connect. You won't be able to hear it. You won't be able to connect. You won't be able to recognize it. And it's not to say it hasn't always been there. You don't find it. You don't go looking for it and then grab it out of something and put it in your chest. No, it's always been there. But as we've gotten older, as we've gotten older, we lose that connection. And the whole purpose of us evolving as human beings, this is my belief, that the whole purpose of us evolving as human beings is to reconnect to it. Yeah. That's like 5 minutes to your question.
No, it's fine. I'm so happy. There's so many nuggets that I picked up there. So I guess that's why books and concepts that are communicated in books like the 5 a.m. Club and the habits and the morning routines that everyone seems to actually be prescribing to say, look, if you really want to have a productive day. I'm not even going deeper than that because you can have so much more, but just productivity. If you're really interested in productive day, start it as early as you can, whatever that means to you, and make sure that you spend time reflecting, in terms of that stillness, exactly what you're talking about, reflecting on what you want and getting it going. Am I sort of communicating it correctly there? To try and summarize what
you are 100% spot on. If you want to control your day and not have your day control you, you definitely want to make time at some point of your day, with first thing in the morning or the very last thing you do when you go to bed, at some point when everyone is asleep and you're not on your laptop and you don't have the distractions. You want to take just time out to just find stillness and connect.
Awesome.
The best
Beautiful.
idea come from that space, by the way. At least
sorry, say that again. The best ideas
have been born out of that space.
Have been born out of that space.
Cool. That space. Every year I take 2 weeks where I go off grid. I won't have my phone. I won't have internet access. I literally go up to, like, since I moved to Arizona, I'll go up to a place out here called Sedona, and there's like a little cabin that I'll stay in for like a week.
Okay.
Just me, God, and nature. And the most difficult life decisions I've made, which ended up being very easy transitions for me, were answered or came about in that space.
Cool. Sorry, I'm just making notes.
You have my number.
Cool. No. So it's weird, learning for me, it's when you write, you're engaging actually a few more senses than just your hearing. So yeah, that's just how I learn and process stuff. Cool. Cool. So okay, cool. So we've got the definition out of the way around intuition, intuitive leadership. We got the how-to of it in terms of how to flex the muscle specifically. No? So I guess the practical side of things, if we can dig into that a bit more. So if we take just a layman, someone who just wants to get better or have a better day, let's simplify it to a day. Have a better day. What are the specific activities, and you can use you as an example, because I know you play in this space and you do your coaching as well. So what are the specific activities that you can actually give us as examples that are practical?
Decide to have a better day.
Decision first, okay.
Decide to have a better day. And I think a game changer is also realizing that the things that happen to you are actually happening for you.
Uh-huh.
So that takes you out of that. It kind of puts you in a more powerful state than being a victim of your surroundings, right? So the things that are happening to you are actually happening for you, because you're either going to get a blessing or a lesson out of whatever it is that's happening around you. But at every moment, you get to decide how you react and whether or not you internalize what happens. And this just boils down again to deciding. You know, like we have so much control over our environment than we are aware of. Mm-hmm. And I really wish a lot more people would look more into this space and just kind of understand that your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. At a certain point, as children, we don't have, like me, we're children, you know, it is what it is. But at some point between our teenage years and our adulthood, we start to define who we are. First, yep. It's based on the environment that we're in, who we are told we can be, who our parents were, what we think we have access to, what we do actually have access to, right? So it starts very narrow. But after a while, for some people, the switch goes off. Some, it takes a little bit longer. After a while, you actually get to decide how you show up in the world every day. It becomes a decision. So
and a daily decision, right?
Daily.
Okay.
Daily. Because life will test you daily. so you have ample opportunities on a daily basis to decide, am I going to be the person that shrinks? Am I going to be the person that, actually, my favorite thing is to say sink or swim. Do I sink or swim in this very moment? And don't even look at it as the whole day, right? Because when you look at the whole day, you'll be overwhelmed. You can't control 24 hours, right? But in this moment, as you and I are having this conversation, am I going to sink or swim? That is a decision that I have to make.
Yeah.
And sinking or swimming can look different for different people, right? Depending on the situation. There are definitely times where you'll sink, because hitting rock bottom will teach you lessons that the mountaintop will never teach you. I heard that somewhere, and I've been waiting to use it. Allah, go me.
There we go.
I heard that somewhere. I thought it was so powerful. And I'm like, it just came out so natural. Yeah. Okay, I love it. I held on to what I learned. No, but it's facts though. Like rock bottom will literally teach you lessons the mountaintop won't teach you. So do we have to fall flat on our faces sometimes to learn some lessons? Absolutely. I can tell you that. I can 100% tell you that. And then you know my story, right? By the time I was 18, I'd lost both my parents. Yeah. Let's start right there, right? By the time I was 18, I had both my parents. At 22, I moved to a totally different country with no family, nothing, and had to build my life. And not even, I say had to because I had to, but it was a choice.
It was a choice.
I chose to do that. I chose to challenge. I chose to say, hey, when things went left, I was like, okay, Mom Hata, what's it going to be? Sink or swim, kid? And I'm not going to choose to sink. No. But you learn how to figure that thing. You learn how to figure things out. Resilience really is something that every human being has. But I can tell you that every leader, especially an effective leader that knows how to move projects, move people, resilience is one of the key characters to their personality. You have to know how to get yourself back up. You have to know how to sometimes disengage from certain things. Not everything deserves a response. Really, like things will happen, and sometimes it's okay to be like, oh, you're doing this. Shut. I'm going to be over here. But that's decisions. It boils down to decisions. So really, for the layperson, for anybody that wants to start living intuitively, I would say just one, decide to have a good day. If what you want out of your day is to have a good day, if you decide to not have a good day and you decide to have a productive day, whatever. Okay, cool. Decide. Decide, own your decision. And in owning your decision, act in accordance to what you want. Because if I decide to have a good day and you show up and you do something that upsets me, I give myself grace because I'm human to be upset for like 5 minutes. But am I going to carry those feelings into the rest of my day? Absolutely not. No, thank you. Yeah. I'm not carrying that around with me. Thank you. No, it's okay. You can annoy me now. I'll be annoyed for 5 minutes, but after 5 minutes, I'm like, grand scheme of things, this is a decision. Okay, sharp. Like, can we fix it? Can we not fix it? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much, man. So before we get on then to the conclusion, I just want us to wrap up. I think we've had a productive conversation, but before we get there, let me just acknowledge my people quickly. I see Tandega has just dropped a comment to say, or to actually echo what you just said. Decide, period. Absolutely. Most staff. Thanks, Mangumalo. By the way, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Ndonano, Shubza, Dimamzo, thanks guys for coming through. We appreciate. Okay, cool. So let's wrap it up, Dee. So
Sure.
Intuition, we already established, and I'm gonna just try and recap and give you an opportunity as well to do exactly that. So yeah, before you do, as you gather your thoughts, let me quickly just try and recollect. So we said and established that intuitive leadership is really about leading from the heart. You know, we are all leaders first and foremost, whether you are a parent or the chairperson of your own company or CEO of your own company, or whether you are a manager, you know, in some company and you look after a particular team. We are all leaders, that's the bottom line. And therefore, it makes sense to improve how we actually show up as leaders, because it impacts self, your own development, and how you have your day, based on the example we just made now. But also it impacts others if you have the opportunity to lead others, including, by the way, children in a family scenario.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, therefore, to invest time in really being deliberate and making a decision. I like that. Making a decision on how you want your day to play out. You know, because that means whatever challenges that may come through, you are able then to pivot and respond to them in a way that is more conscious, and it's actually more purposeful. It leads you towards something.
Yeah.
So I think those are powerful nuggets that we already covered.
Absolutely.
Cool. So in wrapping up, what are the final tidbits that you want to give us, and yeah, we can then call it
a day.
I don't want to say that, because when are you on the other side of the equator and I'm here, so I can say day but it's night, and I can say night but it's day, so let's rather call it and leave it there.
What I would love to leave you all with, like, let's see, your inner voice never functions from fear. It never functions from doubt. So don't be afraid of the unknown. Sometimes you can have this inkling to do something and you have no idea how this thing is going to happen. Trust God with the rest. Leave room to be surprised by spirit, by God, by the universe, in everything that you do. Yes, have your plan.
Sure.
And sometimes your plan can just be, okay, I'm just going to wake up and show up. And that's okay. It's okay to just have a very basic plan, like I'm just going to wake up and show up. So just keep that in mind. As you start to tune more into your intuition, you will definitely default to functioning from your head space, because you've lived in your head for so long. We all have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once you do start moving from that heart space, understand that it'll never function from fear. It'll never function from doubt.
Beautiful.
And so I got
beautiful. That's it. That's it. Yeah, no, it can't get better than that. Yeah. So yeah, we do your best and leave God with the rest. I think that's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
And so for me, my final takeaway, I guess I will reiterate what I said earlier. You know, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So really, my challenge and my plea, I guess, as part of the Let Us Make movement is invest time in the input, invest time in making yourself actually better, gain a better perspective, listen to other views, and make a decision. Decide where you want to go and go for it. The sky's the limit. And I like exactly what you said there, Dee, you know, to say, do your best and let God do the rest. So thank you. Thank you.
Oh, wait. Before we hop off.
Oh, okay. I'm a big reader,
and I want to leave you guys with this. if you have not already, please grab
Yeah.
The Four Agreements by Don Ruiz Miguel. The
Four Agreements.
The Four Agreements is a book, and the writer is Don Miguel Ruiz. Was it Don Ruiz Miguel? Don Miguel Ruiz, DMR. Yes. Okay. So The Four Agreements, that's like one of my favorite books of all time. And then another book which I felt helped into getting me into the space that I'm in right now, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I'm sure you guys have all heard about these books before. So if you are curious about what that intuitive space looks like, how to function from the power of now, those are my two go-to books as far as flexing and learning more how to function from an intuitive space.
Beautiful.
I mean, tons more,
awesome.
but I don't want to think of two.
No, that's fine. So what I'll do, I'll save this video and then I'll post the titles and the books that you recommended most definitely. But my recommendation, guys, please follow Dee's page. It's Dee Construction on Instagram. And then, of course, out of that, you can pivot to LGBT Collective and other stuff, that amazing stuff, by the way, that this power woman is doing. So, yeah, I'm sure it will all be on her page. And if you haven't yet, follow my page.
Yes. What's wrong with you?
Oh.
You just want to go for the live and not munch.
Oh. Cool. Thanks a lot, Dee.
Thank you.
That's
so
it,
much.
guys. Yeah.
This has been fun.
Awesome. I'm sure I'll invite you back for more conversations and different conversations, because yeah, this was really insightful. So thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. We should definitely do this again. All right.
We will.
Thank you, babes. I will follow you back too.
There you go.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye. Oh, cool, man. Hey, Dee. I'm gonna wait for the love energy. Definitely, she's amazing. She's amazing. Good to that. Cool. Thanks, guys. It's a wrap.